Can you hear me now? All right, look at all you people, wonderful. All right, for those of you I haven't met, I am Clay Moeller. I am my wife calls me, that's my wife Lori right there, she calls me the Casas guy at Resurrection. I don't know if that's good or bad. So, Pastor Wyatt's going to start us with prayer, so you want this microphone?
I'll take the microphone. Welcome to you also joining us online today. Let us join in prayer. Lord God, thank you for this wonderful group of people who have gathered in searching for your mission and service to your church and to your world. God, bless the families that we'll be building for in March. Watch over them and keep them as they pray and expect and watch for the home that they have been seeking for so long. Watch over them, be with them, give them good health and security, and watch over us as we go down and be your church, be your hands and your feet in the world to support them and to support all your people. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
All right, so we're going to start with a little bit of information in the video form, sort of. So we'll start with that. And so the first one, we're doing family first, right? Yeah. So we just got everybody who is signed up, and there's some people we'll talk that are already signed up that are here. So they got an email today about what the family we're going to build for, at least one family. We have enough, we will build 2 houses. Currently we have been assigned only one family because I've only told them we're going to build 1 house. But I already know we're going to build 2. I just figured that out today. So roll the video on the family information, if you would, please.
Hello, I'm Antonio with the Casas por Cristo. I'm here in Juarez with the Rodriguez family. Thank you for you come to serve it with us. Let's go meet who you be building for it. Hi, I'm Antonio. I'm over here with Guillermina. She's 56. And Ricardo, he's not here right now. He's at work. He's 22 years old. Maria, he's at work too. She's 28 years old.
Somos del estado de Durango. Sí asistimos a una iglesia.
Okay. ¿Se llama su iglesia?
Mi iglesia se llama Kairos. Tengo 3 hijos. Conmigo viven 2. Uno de 30. Bueno, ya cumplió 30.
We are from Durango. And yes, we are going to the church, El Cairo Church, and I have two boys, 1 girl and 1 boy, and I'm gonna be a grandma in November.
Yo no puedo trabajar por...
I'm not working right now because I'm a little sick. My son and my daughter, those 2 they support me, and they're one that bring the money to the house. And my daughter, she's not working right now because she's a pregnant. The only person who's working in the family is my son.
En ambas. El impacto sería en ambos porque de hecho no tenemos casa aquí. Entonces el impacto sería muchísimo porque nos ayudaría a tener una estabilidad ya, o sea, estar estables espiritualmente porque pues en cierta forma, yo siempre he sido creyente de Dios.
Yeah, it's gonna be, in both sides, they're gonna have a difference in my life because I'm believing in Jesus, but before that was different. And now I'm going to church in this house for us because we don't have no house. We're gonna have our own house because we are not from here, and we are happy for that because this is our property. And now I'm going to the church because now I know about Jesus, but because I'm going to every Sunday.
my name is Jose Bontrager. I'm pastor of Amor y Verdad, and along with me is Faustino Vijaro, who's a pastor of Kairos, a church that we started a number of years ago. And Guillermina here, she's attending since we've had the contact. She's attending church with him. So I think that's kind of interesting. And I'm the one that put in the application, but Faustino's going to be following up with us on the build and everything, and he's going to be present, and you'll see him when you all come to build. So, okay, like many times we come in contact with families who have contacted the office in El Paso. And the El Paso office gives different of us pastors who are members of the committee, and she was one that contacted me, and so we interviewed her, came out and looked at her place, and it was all through that we introduced her to the church at Kairos and met Faustino, and she's now attending church with them. And so seeing her need, we decided that it'd be a good investment, and we're also already seeing the progress of it, that she's attending church. Well, always we've got this evangelistic emphasis that we want to see people get closer to the Lord and serve the Lord. And this is one of those cases where I see the fruit before the house is built, and we trust that that's just going to keep on growing, and she become a very faithful member in the church and serve the Lord and get involved in not only being a Christian, but be involved in serving the Lord.
So the guy, Jose, in the white shirt that was doing the talking there at the end, the pastor, he's actually American, that is down there working. So let's roll the one on our housing. So let me give you a little bit of history before you roll it. On all the other trips we've done, all of the 4 or 5 other trips we've done, we've always stayed at a place, the acronym is SHOC. It's Shane, whatever, the Operations Center, it's named after a guy. They just completed a new facility closer to the border that is purpose-built for teams like us to stay at. And not this past week, but the week before, the first team stayed there. When this church was there in November, we were supposed to stay at the new facility they call the depot. It wasn't done, but now it's done. So we will be staying there. It's a much different facility than where SHOC where we've stayed in the past. So let's go ahead and roll the video, and you'll be able to see, for those of you who've been there, there's a bunch of people who've already been here, have gone, you'll be able to see how this is different. was going to say, okay, so for you who've been there, you guys that have been there, a little different? Yeah, a little different. You want to? I'll see if I can arrange it for you. You will not need cots and air mattresses. All you'll need is a sleeping bag. Well, if you read a little bit, what it should say, I'd have to look at it again, but what it should say is depending on the facility, because there are facilities where we have stayed, not in this church, but where Lori and I have stayed, where you have to take a cot or an air mattress or you're on a concrete floor. There's all bunk beds in here just like that. Actually, Shock is all bunk beds too. So, all right, let's do the last one. So now we're going to do, the last time we went in November, we built 2 houses. One of the houses we built on the team that Lori and I were on, some of these other people were on as well, the guy brought a time-lapse camera and he set it up. So did they mold them all together or are we in 3 separate ones?
It's several separate ones, but they're all in order.
They're all in order. So he took the time lapse, and it's kind of cool. It's not video, but it's time lapse. So we're going to show it just because it shows a really nice sequence of the build. So roll it, please. So that was, call it 2.5 days in 2 minutes? Yeah. It does, 16 by 24. Small. Think tough shit. So, you can't see on this one. On this house, for the first time, we actually put a second door in. So in what would be the front of the house when you're looking at it, there was kind of a notch there, and there's a front door. We also put one on the back left, if you will, because the owner of the house wanted to put a baño in the future. So they said, they had this rickety old door. They said, would you put this door in? And first Josh, the crew leader that was here this weekend, said, yes. And we looked at the door and I go, Josh, no. He goes, another door is $175. Will you buy another door? I said, yes, we'll buy a door. So, all right, Is there anybody here tonight that wasn't here for a service this weekend here in this sanctuary to hear Josh speak? You were not? Anybody else? You were not? Oh, you weren't? Okay. All right, so let me do an overview of what Casas is, because Josh talked about this. So Casas is a group out of El Paso. They build in 2 places in Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Dominican Republic. Did I leave any out? They just started Nicaragua. They are what they call short-term missions. So it's just to build a house that short term. For us, we do it in 3 days. Some people do them in a week. We do it in 3 days. I know that sounds a little crazy. It's not that bad. It's actually good. And they consider us to be missionaries. And so they provide a crew leader. They provide a trailer of tools, and let's call it the know-how. We show up with volunteers, willing workers, with a limited amount of tools. We'll come back to that later. And we do the work, and what we don't know how to do, they teach us how to do, and we do it. You'll probably hear me say this a bunch of times tonight. You don't need construction skills. They work for everybody, and you'll be amazed what you can do. So that's Casas. They're based out of El Paso. They just passed 7,000. Yeah. When we were there, in November, they just completed their 7,000th house. 7,000, yeah. So what's different about this, people say, well, how's this different than Habitat? It's a different formula, if you will. It's a different thing. In Habitat, you have to do all these volunteer hours, and it takes much longer to build the house. With Casas, there's none of that. There's no strings attached. There's no requirement from the families to do volunteer hours or any of it. Typically, they help. They don't always help. They're typically around. But there's no requirement. This is a gift from God, literally. And so the formula is different. And the best part of it is, it's done in 3 days, and we get to give them the keys and get to dedicate the house and hand them something they couldn't do themselves. Where if you worked with Habitat, which I have, and it's fun, you get to see a little piece of the house unless you're there every day. So, all right. So there's a bunch of people that are here that have been on trips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, not counting Lori and I, so there's 6 people. I'm going to ask 2 of them. Alan, I'm going to start with you, to come up and talk about their experience while they were there. Alan's been on 1 trip in November, and he's planning on going in March. So give us your thoughts.
Where to start? Before I decided to go on the trip last November, we had been here at Resurrection for about a year, and the opportunity came up, and came to a meeting just like this with all of you with questions and concerns. And I can say, after having participated, all of those questions and concerns got answered. Concerns like, what's the safety like? Do you need, what kind of skills do you need? I think Clay's addressed those. No skills. I did learn a lot. I think the thing that I learned the most is that I thought I knew poverty until I went. It's real poverty there. So what we're doing and what we're creating for these families is something I think you probably, maybe it was Josh that described it, the 14 by 24? 16 by 24, 16 by 20, whatever it is, to a family in Juarez is the equivalent of about a $40,000 or $400,000 house here in the United States. It's that big of a deal for them. These people have nothing, most of them. In fact, the house that you saw that we worked on, the time lapse there, there was a couple. The gentleman worked down the road at a ranch. He walked there and walked to the work site a few times to help out. And his wife, each day that we were there, prepared lunch. And she came down that same road. I don't know how far she came from, but it was a dirt road with a wheelbarrow of the food that she brought us for lunch. That was their transportation. It's just so gratifying and such a gratifying experience to be able to accomplish something like this. It's amazing what we were able to do in 3.5 days. It just, just to see it go up before your eyes. The other difference, I've done Habitat previously as well, and I think the other difference is, unlike Habitat and in the United States, when you build something, there's all kinds of codes and regulations and rules and everything else you have to follow. Very few things that are similar to that in the house that we build. It does have electricity. They're responsible for bringing in the electricity, the family. There is no running water inside the house. So almost all of the houses there have large cisterns outside, and large water trucks come by periodically, and they buy water from these water trucks, and that's their source of water. No flushing toilets, nothing like that. So typically a toilet's a hole in the ground with a cover over it, and that's about it. But I think the other takeaway for me was not only are we building something and giving something, the hands and feet of Jesus, doing this work and providing shelter for a family that doesn't have it, but it's also a time to get to know other people from the church. Before I went on the trip, I didn't know anyone that had gone on or went on the trip with me, and here I see so many people that I met there and formed a close bond and relationship as well. So happy to answer any questions that you might have, but that's kind of my story. Okay.
And it's really 2.5 days. 2.5 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I'm gonna ask Amy to do the next one. But so if you saw the vision, there was 2 articles about the Casas trips. I wrote the long one, and Amy wrote the shorter one about her experience, even though it said somebody else wrote it. Amy wrote, I thought it was very well done. So it was a lot about the poverty that Alan just talked about. So Amy, you want to talk about your experience a little bit?
It's a lot easier just writing an article instead of standing up here. My name's Amy. My husband Todd and I went for the first time in November. And the reason we decided to go was a year ago when Josh came, I think when he came to speak at the service, we were here at church, and we got out of church and we're driving home, and we're like, we should really do that. We should do that. I mean, my husband has good construction skills. He worked that kind of work all his life. I have none. But it didn't matter. I told everybody the first night that we were there, I said, I'm really, really nervous. I said, I'm just terrified to do this. I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. Todd had to have a tutorial for me at the house a couple days before with a hammer and nails and a whole piece of wood just so I could, So to speak to that part of it, I know there were women that have come up to me and asked me about that, and I said, you really don't need to have experience. You just need to have the heart to want to do it. And believe me, I sent up a lot of prayers both of those days to make sure I wasn't bending nails over and ruining stuff, and it worked. So, but it was just, it was very mind-boggling, like Al said, the poverty. I struggled not to just burst into tears when we were driving from across the border to the shop, just looking at this and going, how do these people live like this? And yet they're happy, they're clean, they cook some of the best food I've ever had. They make it work, and they're the ones that are living through this, and all we're doing is coming in there and giving them something that they would never ever have, which is an immense feeling. I mean, it's amazing the feeling you get from it, and that's not the only reason we go. we go because we're able-bodied and we can help, and we can do these things for the people that need them, that they don't have anything, yet you wouldn't know it looking at them. I mean, you know, the kids are running around, they're happy, they're laughing, they're playing games, they're teasing each other, you know, and the parents are, they're chit-chat, you know, they're living their life, and that's all they know. So if we can make their lives better, wow. I mean, think about it, you know. And it's fun, the camaraderie, like Al was saying. We've just met some really great people, and you know, we had the little dinner Friday at Clay and Lori's, and that was fantastic. It was really fun to get to see everybody again, and then meet a couple of people that we hadn't met before, so that had gone on the trip. If we can get enough people to do 2 houses, great. If we get enough people to do 3, even better. But if you're afraid that you can't do something there, don't be. It's hard work. You're on your feet. Don't get me wrong. I was dead tired by the time we got home and or back to the shack. When you eat and then you have some fellowship and then you want to go to bed. You're like, I'm done for the day. And then you get back up the next morning and go at it again. It's great. Again, I can answer any questions too. You know, I have things that, not that I'm going to do it now, but I have things that I wrote a list. I literally have a list in my phone, things to do or bring or remember for next time. That would make it just a little bit easier for me personally. But it's, if you, safety, safety, yeah. Well, we weren't concerned at all coming across the border. The agents on the other side were friendly, and they didn't, I mean, it just, I don't know, we weren't worried about it. I think that if there was something going on, I think we wouldn't even go across the border. I'm assuming that the safety is paramount. So if that's an issue, I don't know, I put my faith in God and go, okay, here we go, you know. I know how to duck if I've got to duck, but that just was never, it was never a question about that. We never felt afraid or anything. I mean, it was safe. The only thing I didn't know what was going on was when at night when you'd hear them driving around and their bullhorns, but I think they were selling stuff. Yeah. So I was like, what's that? Oh no, they're just out there selling their wares because that's how they can do that. People can't get to them to buy their things, so they go to the people. So, I don't know, that is great. Come, please, it's fun. We have a lot of fun, a lot of snacks.
So let's talk about safety first, since I queued here to talk about safety. I had a 20-minute conversation with a member this morning who I talked to yesterday about his wife. He wants to come, but his wife's very concerned about safety. I understand the concern. I'm going to start with this statement. Lori and I have been on, I don't know, for 20 years we've done this. Not just with this church, but with other churches where we started this. And we have 2 daughters. One of them is a member here. And when she was in her teens, when our daughters were in their teens, we took them to Mexico and we did several of these trips. If I had daughters in their teens, I would take them today. In fact, Josh, the crew leader from Casas that was just here, had 2 little kids, 7 and 4. They're on spring break in March, and they're going with us, which is fun. They were there once before when we built it. It was fun. So the way it works is that we're all together all the time. We go across the border in vans. We leave our cars at the hotel in El Paso, and we'll come back with more information on that. But we're always together. So we're in the vans. We go to the work site. We go back to the compound where we're going to stay. In this case, it would be the depot that we saw the video that's new. And that's all walled and locked, so we're safe inside there. And then we go back to the job site at work. We go back to the depot and spend the night, and then we go back across the border. So there's no opportunity for anybody to leave what we're doing, leave where we are. We're always together. So Casas' business is bringing in volunteer groups like us. They're very careful where they where they allow people to go, because they're done if anything ever happens. I mean, it's really that simple, and nothing has ever happened, and they work real hard at that. So, all right, let's talk about the overview of what happens and kind of the schedule. So if you looked at the information that's there, and there was a little bit of talk about it at the services yesterday. There's the concrete crew, as you saw in the video. There's concrete that happens the first day, and walls that get built. Yeah, so you're looking at that's in that one of those brochures. So not everybody goes for concrete, but everybody who wants to go can go for concrete. So what happens if concrete happens on Thursday? So travel day would be Wednesday to El Paso for everybody who's doing concrete. And we would cross the border early on Thursday morning, and we would level the site and get it ready for the concrete. And while that's happening, we also have a stack of lumber that's there. All the wood gets cut. There's a cut list, so somebody's responsible for cutting the wood. Somebody's responsible for kind of keeping track of it, so 2 people do that, and everything gets cut. And by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the concrete's down, it's troweled off, and all the walls are built and stacked. Then that concrete group goes back to El Paso. The people who didn't come early to do concrete drive in on Thursday to El Paso. We all stay at the same hotel, and I have rooms blocked, number of rooms blocked for us at the hotel. And so we all stay there. We meet for dinner, and then we all go out to dinner together. I should back up. We all do that for the concrete crew as well. We all get there on Wednesday. We have dinner together on Wednesday night. There's an Applebee's that's there's one direction in the hotel parking lot. We walk to Applebee's and have dinner, come back and kind of have a team meeting, and this is what's going to happen on Thursday. We do essentially the same thing on Thursday night. All the group comes together, except we go to a place called Cattle Barons, a steakhouse. We all have dinner together there. The crew leaders, so Josh, the crew leader, and the second house will be led by a gentleman named Brig. They will come, and their families will have dinner with us, and then they will leave, and then we'll go back to the hotel and have another little meeting about this is what's going to happen and talk about that. And then early on Friday morning, like 6:30, we will load the vans and all of our stuff. So we'll come back to what you need to bring, but all of our sleeping bags to sleep in, and suitcases and everything will go into the trailer that goes behind one of the vans, and we'll cross the border early. We'll take that trailer and all of our stuff, and we will leave that at the depot where we stay, and we will make lunches for ourselves in case the family doesn't provide lunch, sandwiches, chips, cookies, fruit, and then we'll go to the work site. We will work all day on Friday, and that's the fun day. That's the day it goes from a concrete slab to all those walls, poof, go up. The roof goes on, the blackboard goes on the outside, the chicken wire goes on, the electrical goes inside, the insulation goes in, and now it looks like a house. So that's the goal by the end of the day on the second day, Friday, is to have it ready for stucco and drywall on Saturday. So that on Saturday, we're back up early, go to the site typically about 8:30, and we stucco, we drywall, and do all whatever miscellaneous things need to be done. And then typically between 3 and 4, we have a dedication with the family. If we're doing 2 houses, which we will be doing in March, both teams will be at both dedications. So everybody gets to be part of it, even though we didn't build the other house. We get to see the other house and be part of the dedication, see the family. So both houses are dedicated, and if it doesn't impact you, you're not paying attention. I don't know how many we've done. 15 of these. I've been involved with Lori. It still drives me to tears. You can hear it in my voice. It is so impactful to hand the keys to these people. And think about it. As Josh said yesterday, people from another country don't speak your language, that you don't know, showed up, built you a house, and handed you the keys in 2.5 days. And changed your life and your children's life forever. So after that, emotional things happen. Then we go back to the shock, we shower up, or at shock, hello. We go back to the depot, we shower up, and we have dinner, and then we typically have a fellowship time meeting. We talk about our experience a bit. And typically by 8:30, everybody's in bed. But I like to say, and I've heard other people say, it's the best backache and feet ache that you've ever had. It hurts, it does. Bring your Advil. But you feel really good about it. And then we're back up early on Sunday morning, and we take the vans back to El Paso. Our cars are at the hotel, and we go back there. Typically what happens, if everybody wants to, and we've done this for most of the trips, we go by the Casas por Cristo office that's near where we cross the border and very near the hotel we stay at, because you can get this stylish gear that lots of people like to their office is cool, but they have lots of really fun stuff in their gift shop, and it's fun to support them in so many ways, and to get, shirts and coffee mugs and hats and whatever you want, and that supports part of their mission as well. And so we typically leave by around 7 from Juarez, so we get to our cars, it depends on 9 or 9:30, just depends how the timing all worked out, and then everybody starts back to Tucson. So that's kind of that's the layout of it. So concrete day is Thursday, so it's either a travel day on Wednesday for people doing concrete or a travel day on Thursday for people who are not doing concrete. And then everybody comes back at the same time on Sunday. We stay there Saturday night, we come back on Sunday. Almost everybody carpools in some way, so cars are full. People who are driving, we typically try to match people up unless people have specific needs or they want to drive by themselves. They're welcome to all go together, share expenses. We talked a little bit about work. So the tools needed, I always get asked about the tools, so let's do that again. The Casas guys, the crew leaders, have trailer full of tools. They have nail guns, they have saws, they have generator if there's no power, they have cords, they have all the stuff to do the stucco. What we need to bring would be some sort of nail apron, if you have it, a hammer, a pencil, a tape, a utility knife, a pair of gloves, knee pads. What'd you say? Needle nose pliers if you're doing chicken wire. Needle nose are good, yeah, but not required. So that it's really limited on the tools. And if you don't have some of that stuff, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But it'd be a good thing to buy because it's nice to have around the house. The hotel, as I said, we all stay in the same hotel. It's right by the airport. And for everybody who will be signing up or has signed up, there's some people here who already signed up, I was sending out an email as we get closer to say, this is the hotel, this is the lady to contact, this is our group of rooms that are blocked, this is the number, so you can then contact them and get the rate. Round numbers, the hotel is $100 a night. It costs $255 to sign up on the church website. What that cost includes is the cost of the vans to get back and forth from Juarez, the gas of the vans, the insurance we have to pay, and the housing and food cost in Juarez. What that does not include is transportation back and forth from El Paso, and the hotel and the food in El Paso. Make sense? All right, so Juarez is essentially covered in the $255 that you would pay on the church website. The rest of it is still out of pocket. So if you go for concrete, it's 2 nights in the hotel. If you're going to go for concrete, it's 1 night in the hotel and 1 dinner. You go for concrete, it's 2 dinners, 2 nights in the hotel. We gather after for dinner each night, Wednesday night and Thursday night. We gather afterwards and talk about. I said a little bit about the plan. We have a real nice gathering Thursday night, so everybody can introduce themselves to each other, talk about what their expectations are, what their hopes are, any questions they have, and then we'll talk about what teams we're divided in, since we're gonna have 2 different teams. Okay, you're on this team, you're on this team. And then what's gonna happen the next day. Here's where we are for people who haven't been there. And then we have a little communion service. Pastor Wyatt's going, Pastor Tim may go, we'll see. We've always had a pastor except when we went in November. That was the first time we haven't had a pastor, so that was different, and I got to do communion. It was all set up by Tim already, but let's see. Other things to bring. So we will be staying at the depot. You saw bunk beds. So there's a packing list that's in that guide that if you pick this thing up, based on like page 3, how's my memory? It is page 3. On page 3, there's a guide that says, here's what you bring. Important things to know is you need something to sleep in. You need a towel to shower with. It's not a hotel. You need to bring stuff with you for that. One of the things that has been an issue once in the past that will not be an issue again is you must wear long pants on the job site. Must wear long pants on the job site. You can wear shorts when we're back at the depot, all of that, but when we're working on the job site, you must wear long pants. I would suggest you wear boots. It's not required. Some people wear tennies. I would suggest some sort of boots. The ground is irregular, it's rocky, it's sandy. Boots are better. They're just better. I realize some people aren't comfortable with that, so that's up to you. Water bottle is important. We provide the water. Josh has water in the big orange coolers like you can buy at Home Depot with ice. It will be bottled water like the big plastic glug, water. But you need to bring a water bottle to fill that up. Fill your water bottle up out of that. Eye protection, sunglasses, or even if it's windy. I've been told, I've never done it, I've been told that swim goggles are good if it's blowing sand. We've been lucky enough not to have too bad of that. Have something temporary, like throwaway rain gear is good. We've had it rain a few times. It's fairly unpleasant, but we're still going to work. So have something that's going to keep you from getting wet. Chapstick's another big one. If you haven't had your lips dry out and it's uncomfortable, so having chapstick in your pocket's a good thing. Knee pads. Knee pads are on that list for most of us as we've got a little more experienced in life, if you know what I mean. Our knees are sensitive, so when you're on your knees all day or up and down, it's important. Passports. You need a passport. I know there's other options with global entry and all that. I'm going to make this easy. If you have global entry, you have a passport, you need a passport. You don't need it going south, but you have to have it coming back. What I miss? That's my list. Close. Oh, good point. All right. So when we're not working, we're back at the depot after you showered everything. What I typically take is like sweats. You can wear whatever you want. You can wear shorts if you want to at the depot. I would also suggest flip-flops or some sort of comfortable shoes to walk on. And that looks like a nice concrete floor, but I would suggest some sort of comfortable flip-flops or slippers or something like that that are easy to wear, just comfortable clothes to hang out in. What typically happens after dinner is people are just socializing and sitting around. Some people go to bed, some people go into the bedroom and read and relax, or call their spouse. If Lori has a choice, she'll have her cards out and there'll be a card game. They're careful they don't want it to look like gambling, so we don't want to go there, but just playing cards is not a problem. Everybody goes by 8:30, the lights are out. Everybody's tired. And then Saturday night, typically we have a little bit more of a fellowship, but also probably a devotional and a little bit of sharing about this is what happened for me when I was here, and this was the impact, and kind of reflection on what happened from Thursday night, what the expectation was to what the reality was. And there's often tears at that one too. All right. I can do it. So there's. So this is a planning guide that Casas provides to us. I think you handed out a bunch of people picked these up. This is helpful. There's a lot of good information here. There's also lots of information on Casas' website if anybody really wants to dig into it. This one is specific to the trip. It talks about the schedule that I talked about and the dates that are here and costs on this. So this the soonest trip is March 13th through 16th. There's also, we've already booked our trip for November, which happens to be the 13th through the 16th of November as well. Go figure how that worked out on the calendar. So here's the general information. If anybody wants to go back, well, how's that schedule work? Here it is. Oh yeah, it does have the hotel, and I'll talk more about I'll send more for people who sign up on the hotel information. You don't have to worry about that for the block number. And this talks about the cost that people want to donate to it. And currently we're fortunate enough to have the money to build 2 houses. So, all right, how about questions? Yeah, we're okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, either way, I mean, there's no reason. Are you already signed up? You already signed up? Okay, yeah. So there's no limit for people to say, no, you can't go for concrete. If everybody wants to go for concrete, absolutely, come. So the best way to do it is I send out an email to everybody several weeks before we go that has hotel information, talks again about schedule and just details. And then I put in there, if you want to share a ride or you have space in your car, say so. And just send that so it goes to everybody. And then people just I don't want to assign rides. That's just doesn't seem appropriate. No, you say, somebody will say, I got space in my car, and somebody will go, I'm going with you. And then you say, people meet at the church typically and go, I can tell you Wally Betty has space in his car, Chuck Morgan always drives, he got space in his truck. That's an informal thing. I mean, it's kind of use the email for everybody just to communicate to each other, and it just depends on which day they're going. Those 2 people, Wally and Chuck, are both going for concrete, but there's always other people that are going, and they're always willing to share. You know, it's more fun to ride with somebody, even if you don't know them, to get to know them. And it's about 300 miles to El Paso, so it's between 5 and 6 hours, depends on how much you stop and how fast you drive. So, questions? Truck. No, truck. We used to mix it ourselves, and it was really rough. You make a block reservation at the hotel? Yes, sir. And we pay for it when we get there? Yes, right. I have a block of rooms already reserved at the hotel, and I will to everybody who's signed up, I will send an email out that says, here's the hotel, here's the phone number, here's the email address, here's the block number, so you can call or email the hotel. This is the block number, and then they will know you're part of our group, then you get the group rate as well. They're already blocked. There's already. It's like a wedding. Like when you go to a wedding or something. There's. Call ahead, and so they send out this is the block of rooms, this is the hotel. You call and make your reservation within that block. Oh, okay. Right. So the rooms are. I have 26 rooms booked, blocked. The king rooms are 89 plus tax, and the queen rooms are 99 plus tax. Some people share rooms. Some people rather have their own room, or when there's couples that go, obviously they would just get a king room. But that's it's up to whoever to do it. I block the rooms, I don't make the reservations for anybody. But what I do is I get the list from the hotel of who has reservations, and I make sure that everybody has a reservation, because we had one, oh, wait, I forgot to make a reservation. But you make your own reservation, yep. Yep. More questions? It is. Yep, yep. There's no need for the European converter. We're talking about where we're staying. Yeah, yes. We can charge our phones, all of those things while we're there, yes. Yes. We have not ever had a problem. Just hotel parking lot. So yes, it's a hotel parking lot. But there's a gazillion cars there. And the hotel has sort of.
It's right by the airport, so there's a lot of police presence there. It's a well-lit parking lot. There's 2 restaurants right there too, so there's people around a lot. I've stayed at sketchy hotels. This is a clean, well-trafficked hotel. I've never felt uncomfortable being a part of it.
The hotel, we've had the conversation a couple times, and she kind of waffled on that whole thing, and maybe they wanted to charge us, and so I just didn't talk about it anymore. And she doesn't ask that. She doesn't ask, and I don't say anything. But they know our cars are there. It's a big parking lot, and there's businesses that are there during the day. There's the hotel, 2 restaurants, and then there's like a small 2-story business plaza kind of thing that's there that has offices kind of thing, not retail, but offices and a real estate office and all that kind of stuff that's there. So, yeah, and it is literally, you can walk to the airport from there. It is not far.
How do you start? Like, go on the website and sign up?
Sign up? Okay. So there's the way you sign up is on the church website, orovalley.org. If you go to the homepage, you scroll down towards the bottom, and there is a Casas por Cristo. Well, there's a button, I guess, big square that's there with other stuff. You can push that. Or when you're on that homepage, when you first get on at the very top right corner under Serve, if you push that, scroll down to Casas por Cristo, hit that, and then the sign up is right there. And you pay online. Yep. So, of the people that are here, you guys are signed up, you're signed up. Who else is signed up? Lots of people. Well, yeah, but you guys are, okay, all right. So, the people who are not signed up, thoughts about going in March, going in November? March? Yes? You think you're going to go? You're going to? Yes? I'm not trying to pressure, I'm just trying to get an idea of how many people. March? Well, that's not unreasonable. There'll be rides. So, you already signed up, right? March? Okay. We don't think March, November? You gonna bring Hannah? Our kids went when they were that old, and it was a very impactful experience for them, you bet. So our daughter Brittany that has the baby, ask her. Seriously, ask her. Yes, there is a 16-year-old that signed up right. 16-year-old that signed up right now.
More people sign up, I build more houses.
Yeah. So Brendan Keating was born July 13th, 2009.
15, yeah. 15.
So
That's what his form says.
12 to 15 people to build a house. So right now we have enough to build 2 houses. So we need 12 to 15 more people if we wanted to build a 3rd house.
Which would be great.
And the money to pay for it.
At the same time.
So there would.
I'm just telling you, I need somebody else with
Well, we'll arrange that. So what Lori's concerned about is while we're doing concrete, what Lori does is she goes to the Walmart or in the Target and she buys curtains for the windows, curtains for the openings. The houses are rectangular and it's divided the long way and then the short way. So you have a long room and then two smaller rooms. Let's call those bedrooms for lack of a better term. There's not doors on there, there's just drywalled openings. So she buys curtains to put on there so there could be some privacy. Curtains on the windows, rugs for the floors. Typically we would buy whatever beds they want. So if it's adults and kids, then we would buy bunks or whatever they want, we buy them beds. We also buy them appliances, refrigerator, stove, and rugs. So when we're done, then we put the curtains up, we put rugs on the floor, we put beds in, we buy sheets and towels and pillows, comforter, all that stuff. That's where Lori has fun because then she sort of decorates the house. And absolutely. So in fact, Pastor Tim sent me a text earlier this morning and said, hey, somebody wants to buy a house, what's the cost? I said, round numbers is $12,000. It's about $11,000 to Casas, again, round numbers, and it's about another $1,000 for the things that would be appliances and the things that Lori buys, the rugs, the draperies, the beds, that stuff, another $1,000. The stuff there, I mean, the stove is this big, but it's better than what they have now. The refrigerators are small, so it's pretty cost effective to do. So about $12,000 a house. The money that we pay, the $255, that goes to the things I talked about, the transportation, all the food, the lodging. The donations that people have per this. That are outlined in here, these donations, this is what paid for the house.
So are those donations, are they directed to Resurrection, or is it?
Yeah. It all goes to Resurrection, and then Casas bills us. It's so much for the house, and then whatever we buy, like when Lori goes to Walmart and buys all that sheets and the towels and the draperies and the rugs, she just keeps all the receipt. We pay for them, and then I just get reimbursed by the church. But if we buy beds and appliances, we pay for, same thing, and we just get reimbursed for. But if we buy beds, they come from Casas, and then Casas bills us for them, and then the church just pays for them. So it all ends up coming out of the same fund from the church. And then we pay the church, and then the church pays for each of us as well.
The donation goes to the church as opposed to...
Not to Casas.
If you write a check for $500 to support the Casas por Cristo trip, you put Resurrection Lutheran Church in the to line, and then in the memo line, Casas por Cristo, and then like a bed, or a window, or the whole house.
Or
Trying to figure out if it qualifies for DAF.
Yes. So,
what's a DAF? Is that a tax deduction?
It's a donor advised fund. So it's where you've already stuck a bunch of money into a charitable fund and then you just direct where it goes.
Oh.
so
I can tell you it's tax deductible if that answers the question. Yes, it's no different than the church. You'll get it as part of your statement.
the donating to fund the house qualifies for a DAF. Here, I should, because there's people online. So that people online can hear. Hi, people online. So if you donate to support the house, that can come out of a DAF. If you're paying for your registration, the 220 or 255, that can't come from a DAF because it's transactional. So if you're paying for the house, DAF, or donating to the house, or that's tax deductible. If you are registering for yourself to go on the trip, that is not tax deductible. So.
Okay, back there, Amy? All right, other questions? Concerns?
Can I make one more comment?
Of course you can.
This cement floor that they did for the base of this house is so important, critical to them. The family, the couple that we built for, after we laid the concrete foundation, put up the walls and the roof, that first night, they actually came and slept on that concrete floor without a door and a lock, because that was the first time they had slept on a concrete floor. next night they hit this.
Next night they had beds.
The floor is the premier truck comes in.
It is. Yep. Yep. And if you were here on Sunday, Josh showed a picture of a house, not the team that Alan's speaking of, because he was on team I was on, but there was a picture that Josh showed of this plywood, for lack of a better term, I'm going to call it a shack. The lady and her 2 kids lived there. There was no windows in it. There was a dirt floor. The wind would blow through it. The water had to come in. It was rough. It had a dirt floor. I mean, so think about that. She had a teenage kid and an elementary school kid they're living in this tiny little shack.
The door was like a part of an old piece of plywood that was kind of nailed and screwed to the side and we could move it. There was a couple, 2-3 inches on the bottom and on top, and it was crooked. And yeah, it was pretty much pretty shocking what they were living in.
Yeah.
And it was
Right next to it. Right. And we built the house right next to it. The other thing is the weather there is similar to our weather, not quite the same, but very similar. But recently, it's been, as Josh talked about yesterday, it's been in the teens there at night, in the teens. They don't have any heat. Nobody has any heat. So I asked Josh about that, because his family stayed with Lori and I. I said, what do they do? And he said, there's a lot of people who die when it's really cold in Juarez, because they're either running a stove to try and heat, or they have propane heaters, and the fumes asphyxiate people. The flip side of that is they don't have air conditioning, so it's quite as hot as it here, but close. So think about that. We have in the past, I think the last bill we forgot, we buy them box fans. This box fans. But they don't have enough power to support those, so that's why we don't do that. Yeah.
So what size service do they have?
Maybe 20. I mean, it's tiny. The electrical box is 2 breakers. It's this big. It's tiny. And they run what's even more scary is it all runs off of a single piece of Romex that we would run 6 outlets off of. And when you see it, they got all these houses all tapped into this. Yeah, you don't want to get near it. It's nasty. It's just 2x4s. Yep. It is 2x4s, and then we take a shovel and dig around inside the perimeters to thicken the edge, the width of the shovel, the depth of the shovel, just to thicken the edge, and then we put no, there's no rebar, it's the flakes, it's the, what am I trying to say? It's the fiber mesh. We put the fiber mesh in it before we pour it. They dump it in the truck, and we put accelerator in it so it dries quicker and sets up quicker, so we can get it troweled off that afternoon. So, oh, good question. So part of the requirement process that the pastors talked about is there's an application process that each of the pastors that are on their committee. There's a committee that Casas works. I think that there's something in the tune of 15 or 20 pastors that they work with. And those pastors take applications. What's different is they don't have churches like we have churches in the U.S. because people aren't as mobile. They can't get around and drive 20 minutes somewhere. So there's all these very small parishes everywhere. And then the pastors that are on the committee know the other pastors. And most often those pastors also have other jobs because the churches are, 30 people or 50 people or 12 people. One of the requirements is you can turn in an application, but one of the requirements, you must own the land, or you must be making payments on the land. You have to have title of the land. And the reason they do that is because if they didn't own the land, the landlord could then come back and say, "Oh, thank you very much. You were out of here. I'm going to live here now." Yeah. So that's why. They do. They do. And they might own more land than that. But they have to own the land where the house is going to go. And remember, it's a little different there. The lot lines and the whole thing gets a little fuzzy. But somehow Casas figured that. That's something we don't have to worry about. Casas vets all those people, make sure that they go through, meet all their requirements, and they assign a family to us, and we just have to have the money to do it, and the folks, and go fulfill the dreams. That's our job. Helen?
Some of these families, we've known for waiting for several years.
They have. They have. But I can tell you this. We're committed to one house. We're going to build 2. Maybe we'll build 3. The people that, for the second house, will go from somewhere on the list to the top of the list real fast, because typically they're scheduled out about 6 months. So when we commit to a second house, somebody who thought a house was probably 6 months away is suddenly 6 weeks away. We'll make somebody's day. We have always. So far. But we're happy to get more. Yeah. We have been very blessed from the congregation. When I first brought this to Pastor Tim a few years ago, I said, I'll do all of this. I'll do all this. I'll organize it. I'll do the whole thing. I'm not going to stump for money. You guys do that. He said, Clay, you don't have to worry about the money. This congregation is so generous. That will not be a problem, and it never has. I'm very grateful, because other congregations we've belonged to and have done this with, they've done fundraising and begging and silent auctions, and quite honestly, it's much better just have people go, I want to give. It's wonderful. All right, have I bored you? Have I excited you?
Jojo, are there any questions from folks watching online from the YouTube or anything? Thank you.
How many are on?
Cool.
Wow.
Hi, 10 people or more
Really?
online.
Thanks for joining us. All right, so
Yeah, if you guys online have any questions, please type them into the chat. Jojo's been monitoring that in the back. So if you have questions as well, let us know.
any other questions? Church website. Oh yeah. Who's got that sign up? You got? Amy's got. Did everybody sign that? Not yet. Okay. If everybody could put their name and their email address on that. And if you've already signed up for the March trip, I saw some head shake. Just come introduce yourself to me so I can make names and faces, because this is what I have right here of everybody. So, all right, you want to pray us out of here?
Let us pray. Lord God, thank you for this time together. Thank you for the questions, the answers, the security and certainty that we gain in community and we gain through fellowship. Bless each and every one of these people as they go out into their days, as they return home. Bless them with good sleep and well rest for the trials we have tomorrow, the blessings, the joys we have tomorrow. Lord, again, we pray for the families we will be building for in March. Watch over them, bless them, keep them and hold them while we wait patiently for the gift we will give them through in your name. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
I'll just share one more thought. If you haven't signed up and you're going to go in March, please sign up soon. Because if we're going to do 3 houses, I need to get that rolling soon. You're not the first person who said that to me. And,
If I put on the extra day,
no, not at all. No, not at all. No, why you just tell me? What's your name?
name is Head